everyone. It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokpe Mark Odige, and we have the live audience with us today. We get livelier and livelier every Wednesday. Good to have you. Thanks for coming. And as usual, we have the ladies. Welcome to the show.
Excellent.
Honey Pot in the studio.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on the pod.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here again.
Thanks for always honoring us.
Thank you too for always having me. We enjoy it.
I was saying earlier that this is the first time I'll be on show with Honeypot.
And I am super excited about it.
Surprisingly though, because like Honeypot has
been here like back to back.
Yeah, back to back. But I just always watch her from home. Never sit across from her.
So now you have the privilege to see the celebrity.
Yep. Celebrity of all. Professional broadcaster. Good to have you. All right. You know, I'm looking at you and I feel like I'm looking at myself. Like, why are we doing this? I know we're friends, but like, why are you doing this to me? You're looking beautiful.
Thank you. You too. You look so beautiful. I like your earrings.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, people. The heat.
True.
As in, the heat can fry eggs. We don't need to waste money buying gas. Just take your fry pan out in the sun. Under the sun. Put your oil. Add your egg. It will fry it well. You know, they used to call me very dirty because I don't like to bathe more than once a day. You know, no. Even as an adult, you have to. I really have to go out and come back, and I'm sweating. But most times, I'm under the AC, so I don't see the need.
Oh, okay.
But now. Nobody advises me. 3 times a day. When I get home,
my heart goes out to every pregnant person right now.
Dear.
It can be tough being pregnant in this weather.
I know that feeling because I've been pregnant during the hot season as well.
It can be tough. Mariam, how are you feeling?
Oh, I feel horrible. Well, because of the heat, so I've been having cold showers normally. So I guess that's what contributed to my cold. So I've been treating this cold for days. My son has been ill, my husband, so I've been treating everybody. Now it's my turn to treat myself. So yesterday I just needed time to sleep, but the children would not let me. I had to call them and say, I have taken care of all of you. It's now time for me to take care of myself. Won't you please give me a few minutes? They look so guilty. We're so sorry, Mommy. How are you feeling? They'll come and touch me. Now then they'll not come and be touching me several times. I'm like, I just need to sleep.
Life of a mother. Yeah. We like to appreciate cream slices for our cake. And Yemi Legend gives us small chops every last... I cannot eat small chops today.
She's on a diet.
Yeah, I'm on a diet. And we want to thank TV for the drinks and water. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. Thank you. When we return, we'll look at the top stories in the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. For staying with us. We'll be starting newspaper review with The Nation major headline. Federal government to oil firms pay outstanding 20 trillion naira debt. Enforcement of Production Sharing Contract Act to begin, says Minister. Why Jonathan is angry with PDP, says by presidency. Lagos plans amnesty for cultists, others. Churches to register. Senate to lift limitation on rape trial. Senate kicks as President submits NDDC budget, and $57 budget for 2020 oil benchmark unrealistic, says the Central Bank of Nigeria. So we're starting with the major headline. We're expecting 20 trillion. This is going to fund a major part of our budget if they actually pay.
Yeah. So some companies have been owing for the past 15 years, and the federal government is asking them to just pay up because it will actually be the oil revenue. They're going to be paying as oil revenue. It's a royalty, and so it's going to be paid as oil revenue to the federal government. Okay. Yes, that is what that is all about, actually. And it is following the coming into effect of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act 2004 as amended in 2019.
So
what would that mean for our roads?
our
don't get
roads.
this kind of money.
Okay, so maybe they should specifically spend it on our roads or specifically spend it on the health sector. Let's just know specific where the money will be going to. But they're supposed to have been paying this money in tranches every year, but Nigeria never asked them. So now the government asked them that you didn't pay us for this long, the difference in our agreement.
Wow.
So we've signed it that now, the presidency signed it about a few weeks back in the UK that they must pay the previous one, and then we've now done a consequential adjustment to the contract, ensuring that we get paid every year now. So this is good news. We need to get our
Yes, let's clap for
what's Lagos doing for cultists?
So, you know, we've had cult issues over and over in Lagos State. That's like one of the major security problems we've been having here. So the governor of Lagos State has said that they want to grant amnesty to cultists. So that way it will draw them out. They will be able to drop their arms. They said it happened last year with one of the commissioners, and they were able to get about 700 cultists surrender, and they got a lot of arms from all the parts of Lagos, Badagry, Korodu, and all of that. So the negotiations are still on, the considerations are still on the table, but before the end of the year, it will happen.
So amnesty seems to be a practice that works, because you remember with the northern state that gave amnesty to former insurgents, you know,
Bandits.
and we was
Niger Delta too.
Yeah, the Niger Delta too, and we seem to have criticized it, but it seems that it works to bring them back, you know.
It's a palliative that reduces it, but until we address the ground issues, the real cause of we want access to good health, we want to have good roads, we want to have a good education.
Amenities.
Until you give us basic amenities, another people will rear their heads again and complain, and then we give them amnesty. So rather than giving amnesty, let's just solve the problem that is causing.
The land.
Yes, I think that would be a long-term plan. Moving on to the Punch major headline. We have Kogi killings. We can be victims of poll violence. That's from senators. Senate plans bill to stop violence during elections. UN condemns killings. It's irresponsible to say federal government blackmailed Jonathan. That's from the presidency. And you can't miss the picture. 13 die, 150 injured as earthquake hits Albania. Our heart goes out to all of them. And FUTA expels 6 students for brutalizing female undergraduates. Woman stabs lover to death over another affair. Zamfara Assembly stops 10 million naira monthly payments for Yari and others. National Assembly pay may pass 2020 budget next week. Policemen abducted me, demanded 500,000 ransom. Fashion designer says, I was forced to transfer 185,000 to an account. Dasuki's detention, panel to resume disciplinary hearings against AGF. And crude oil rises to $64 per barrel. Fuel subsidy hits 43 naira per litre. IPPS, unregistered lecturers may forfeit December salary. Boko Haram, allegation against Turkey, serious security issue, says the DHQ. All the stories are actually
different. So let me take
the human interest story.
Yeah, so we remember the story of the girl that was brutalized and assaulted by her classmates or schoolmates. Yes, in Federal University in Futa, Akure. So the school said after the investigative panel sat down, they have been expelled from the school. And that this is not in answer to any public outcry, or they are trying to pander to our screamings for what they did, but that is actually in their school handbook, and it shows that when you are involved in physical assault, you will get expelled. So that
and some people have even said that it is not only about expelling them, that they should make sure that perhaps they are sued or something. Because as you said the other time when you were talking about cultists, and you're saying that the root cause of all of this, I think that, you know, proper actions should be taken. You don't just expel them. You expel them and then they go into the society and they don't even know, and then they go back to what they have been doing because they don't even know that it is wrong or something.
I just want to just quickly ask, when the student is expelled, is the person open to go to another school?
Yes. Of course.
You can. Woman stabbed to death.
No, I have the fashion designer story. So this is something that has happened over and over. According to, there was a time we talked about a similar case here where this particular story, the fashion designer Joseph Ejiro, on his way to deliver a cloth to a client, was accosted by the police. They just dragged him into the van. They started beating him up, asked him to surrender his phone, which he refused. But after a while, after the beatings, he had to give them the phone. They opened the phone. you know, they wanted, they were requesting for 500,000 ransom, so they kept reducing the money. The last money in his account, 185,000 naira. In fact, they left 303,500 for him. They asked him to transfer it to their account. He was being harassed over. No, he said they were in the police van. They wore police T-shirts, but they didn't have their name tags on. Oh. So he is seeking for justice at the moment. And this is not the first time we are hearing such a story. I want the Commissioner of Police to look into this case. Are they actually policemen who go out and do this to citizens?
Is that on purpose that they now remove their tags because they don't want you to record them?
They wear the T-shirts, they don't have tags.
Yes,
the T-shirts, the Mopo T-shirts, they don't have tags. They have tags on their uniforms. So if they're not wearing uniforms, you really can't identify what their names are specifically.
So is it that they can actually just wear another, uniform, that does not have tag when they want to carry out these operations?
The T-shirt is enough for
we would
most
like
of us
to get the Commissioner of
them
Police to help us address this, just to inform the audience. Moving on to the next paper, Daily Sun, major headline. Obasanjo opens up on border closure, says Benin Republic must mend ways with Nigeria. You can't miss the picture of Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his wife, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and the secretary to the state government, Mrs. Folashade Jaji, and others officials of government during the march against domestic and sexual violence that Walk to Commit an Act in Alausa yesterday. And I'm really happy that the governor of Lagos State is joining this walk against rape. And in other news, NDDC, Presidency, Senate head for showdown. Ebonyi, pro-Biafra group Bika over Ruga. Kogi Guba, UN flays killings of PDP women leader as rep probe election violence. And 2020 budget suffers setback in Senate. So what are we taking first?
Okay, Obasanjo. So I read that story, and Obasanjo was at a conference at Adenusi Patrick yesterday, and he was talking about this, and it's the first time he's opening up about this border closure issue. So he said that, Benin Republic, he actually picked on Benin Republic, and he said that they should mend ways with Nigeria in a harmonious bilateral relationship. And he said that when he was president, that, he talked about this issue, and he asked to meet the president of Benin at that time. Eventually, they met at Badagry. He said they should meet at the border, but they actually met at Badagry at the end of the day. And they talked about it. It was good. They said that the Nigerian customs should actually be at, the border at Benin Republic, and they are still there. But he's saying that, the only thing, because ECOWAS did not even say that Benin Republic should be a dumping ground too, or any country should be a dumping ground. And that is the problem they have about, with Benin Republic. And that he went further in saying that instead of words, just putting in words and every time, we should put in action. Yes. And he later said that with 55 markets in the 55 markets, that's actually going to still make Africa small in the global market, and that we should actually do something about that.
But the bone of contention is the fact that he is saying that it's not like we don't want to get products from Benin Republic, but what they do is when they import products, they repackage it themselves and send down.
So that's dumping.
So
send it down.
Partially in support of the border closure. Moving on to Daily Trust. Oh yeah, we have the story of the Biafra.
Yeah, so Ebonyi State government has come out to say that they don't recognize IPOB. IPOB does not exist in their state. There's also a rumor going on that there's this new Bakassi and Isakaba that's happening, that because of the Ruga settlements, they are like a group that came out to fight for the Ruga settlements that IPOB is saying no to. So they're saying that these groups are not recognized in the state. For them to have such, even IPOB is not recognized in his state. For them to have such, the security officers will be aware of it. As far as he is concerned, he has no IPOB, he has no Bakassi,
he has no associations. Moving on to Daily Trust, major headline. Fuel ban takes toll on border communities. Black marketers, smugglers having field day. We could see that picture, a picture showing the filling stations shut down and how there are kegs of fuel. Deserted filling station in Idiroko, Ogun State, along Daura Kongloma Road in Castina. The jerrycan filled with petroleum products were seized by custom officials in Kambe, Dolekaina, and Lolo borders in Kebbi State. Senate postponed 2020 budget passage. Courts grant 60 million naira bail to Meina's son. Farmers experts brainstorm as conference begins, and kidnappers to get life jail. Rapists in for tough times. EFCC arrests 2 deputy controllers of correctional facility service over $1 million scam. So a whole lot going on here.
Yeah, so I want to take this story. Kidnappers. Okay, you want to take the major headline?
Okay. So the border closure and the fact that the government ordered that fuel should not be supplied to filling stations 20 kilometers to the border towns is taking a toll on the citizens in that area. The people who live on the outskirts, there are no jobs anymore. About 700, 500 people who are supposed to be working in the filling stations they're out in the labor market looking for jobs. And now it's even the black marketers are even the ones who are making so much money because they now sell a liter for like 450 to 500. So Daily Trust carried out an investigation through different states in the southwest, the G-Roko area, 400 to 500 for a liter, and people are really suffering. The prices of goods have increased, so they went even to the north to get a liter of fuel for as much as 700 naira, which is really, really so they are asking for
policies these policies are hurting people. Quickly,
so quickly, kidnappers to get jail, life jail. So this bill, I really want to read the story because our Senator Oluremi Tinubu sponsored this bill, and it's about kidnappers. And it's past the second reading. First of all, the law was that when you as a kidnapper, you get jail for 10 years, but now she's moving that it's been made life imprisonment because kidnapping has almost become like a business, you know, and a norm. So we need to put enough deterrent so that people who are looking to do it may say, oh, I'll just spend 10 years, now know that it's life imprisonment. The second one, which is even most important, it's about rapists. This is what it says here. Let me read it. It says, the legislature amending the act to review the upper legislative arm also approved the removal of a 2-month statute of limitation on the prosecution of rape offenders. So the way it was in the criminal code before was that within 2 months, if prosecution does not begin, the person sort of goes free. You cannot take that to court anymore. So they are removing that limitation. So it means that whenever the bill
gets passed,
yes, it's defining it. That's a criminal code act, and they're trying to amend that one.
We're looking forward to that getting passed. We're really looking forward to it. That's good news from the Senate and what they're doing in the House of Assembly. Next, when we go on, after this break, we'll discuss a series of hot topics. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So a Christian sister got pregnant, and the church decided to discipline her since she wasn't married. When the elders of the church met and interviewed her, she told them that she had stayed and remained in the church for several years, and no one was marrying her. And that she was getting old. Menopause was approaching, where she can't even get pregnant, even if she gets married. So she went ahead and helped herself. And then she was disciplined for this. Join the conversation. We're discussing whether this is right or wrong, what you think about it, how we should go about disciplining when this kind of things happen. Call us on 070-8066-8014, or you could tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we could hear from you. Ladies, and ladies, and ladies, I would say that our society tends to frown on this kind of thing, but let's start from the church and then we go into the society.
Does it matter how she helped herself? Because
okay, so let me specify how she helped herself. So she's a single lady that's been waiting to get married and she hasn't gotten married. So she went to do artificial insemination. She went to buy this sperm and they put it inside medically and she's got pregnant. So it wasn't that she went ahead to have extramarital relationships or she was having fornication, but she just felt that the time was ticking. She bought the baby. And some religion don't accept any invasive method when it comes to having children. Some people say, don't do it, don't do it. What, BC, what you are, you know, you're our deaconess.
Jesus. you just called me out now. Okay, so I know that, you know, children are a gift from God. And the natural design was to have children in a loving marriage relationship within the confines of marriage, according to different religions. So you have to get married before you have a child. And some religions, Christianity, for instance, they've started, you know, accepting adopting a child. Okay, but there is also some aspects of Christianity that really frown at having this artificial insemination, because according to them, it's more like committing adultery or fornication in as much as you bought it, because then you're getting an extra, you know, body inside that marriage. That's for those that are married. Now, this girl is single. She doesn't have a husband, and she decided to buy that baby. So the typical Christian, you know, interpretation of this is the fact that you have committed fornication, whether you did it naturally or you did it artificially. You are bringing an outside something to give you what you want. And some people will say, if you are not married, why do you want to have? It's like, you don't have a right to have a child. You should wait on married. God. Yes. You know, because that's how it's more like a desire.
That's another conversation.
I'm getting what the church will likely say, because you have to wait to do it the right way. According to them, the right way is get a man, marry you, then you born.
So if you have an elderly woman, would you allow her to?
So hold on, calm down now, you're rushing. Now, something like this has happened in my church, but this wasn't artificial insemination. Okay. So she carried belly. She never married. So we're torn between, should we drive her? Should we send her away? Should we communicate? You know, it was heated up at that time. And she was holding a prominent position in church. But my advice, so I may be a sinner, whatever it is, I told them, if you send her away from church, where are you sending her into? The church is supposed to be a place of solace. People will fall. People will make mistakes. That's for somebody who carry belel. Now, for this one now, that is artificial insemination, I believe that God gave us our brains for technology. He created science. God is the author of science. And technology was given to us to help us solve problems. Now, she didn't want to do the physical sin, you know, by doing it physically. She wants to have a baby. Who should deny her the right to have a baby?
Okay, may I say, please? Because I'm going to actually put the church in the society. And I'm going to take everything together. Yeah. So I think that the society should just wake up already and appreciate, the society should wake up and appreciate the knowledge God has bestowed on doctors and medical practitioners. Why am I saying this? Well, we are always just sitting down there judging people. A lot of people want to devalue you because of the way you got a child. Now, there are so many ways you can get a child through surrogacy, adoption, artificial insemination, and all of this. And we have talked about that. Artificial insemination, in case somebody is wondering and still, wondering what it is actually a treatment for infertility. You know, so you insert semen into the womb directly. That is what it is. And this person is getting to the menopause age, and does
she need to have a child?
And wait, so this is it. Nobody, if you so desire the joy of motherhood, should you deny yourself because of what people would say? Or, I mean,
shouldn't she wait for marriage?
Shouldn't she wait for marriage when she thinks that this is what I want to have in this age and stage? I think that the church too would have to wake up to some things. I'm not saying that we should go outside what the Bible says or something, but I think that even what the church, tells people when they're getting married and the counseling they give at every time, I think should be reviewed. They should reconsider some things. I mean, I'm just saying, because it will really help and it will go a long way.
Okay. So for me, when I heard this, I had my immediate response, which is, I understand how when you want to have a baby, you would want to have it with a man in a loving home. So I get that. And sometimes I feel that when you go out of that, it may come across as selfish. Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for selfish reasons so that they can say you have a child? But I had this conversation with my mom, who's a nurse, as I have mentioned many times. And she talks about how she has met women who this has changed their lives. These are women who otherwise would have no other option. If there was never an option like this, you know, they would never have children. They would never be married. They would never have children. So it will bring about, it has changed lives. I talked to someone who I know who isn't married, she's in her 30s. She said, see, I'm waiting for the right man to come. And if he does not come, this is something that is on my list to do. So I ask, what is wrong with adoption? So I don't have a problem with someone who wants to, mothering is a beautiful thing. You want to have a child and take care of a child. But I just wonder if the artificial insemination is the best thing, because here you are, you're putting in, most times you're using a donor that you have no knowledge of. You do not know this person. So, and we know that it comes to a point where a child grows up and we all seek that sense of identity. We want to know who we are, where we're from. So I would like that single women, when they think about the options that they have available to them, yes, look at it and also look at the child. You want to take care of yourself.
Let's take this phone call.
Sorry.
I'll come back to you. Let's take this phone call. Taiwo, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling us all the way from Ikotu. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yeah, I just want to contribute to what you just said about the church interfering to personal, because to me I see it as a personal affair, a personal thing. Someone wants to get pregnant, you just want to commit sins by fornicating, so she wants to use another avenue, which is the so-called the implants.
Yeah.
And the church don't want us to judge anybody. It's a personal thing between the person and God itself when the day of judgment comes. I don't see any reason why church has to be the one that will be judging someone's falling or someone doing a bad thing or doing a wrong thing. They are just meant to guide people. And the Bible has stated it. A man will fall 7 times and will keep rising. Therefore, a woman too will fall 7 times and she will still keep rising.
Okay.
So we work at our salvation ourselves, not by the church. It's by ourselves. So that's just where I see it. It doesn't have anything to do with church. This church thing has been going along. They were doing a wrong thing in a wrong way. All the way of Holy Spirit thing.
Thank you, Taiwo. We'll take a quick break when we come back to Mariam. Thanks for staying with. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. This conversation is deep and there are many angles to it. I am very sure we can't conclude it today, but I have a question. Based on the call we had before we took a break, does the church have a right to judge? Does the church have a right to say that this woman got pregnant outside wedlock, we are going to demote you from your position in church? Do you think they have a right to say that?
Of course, with rights, about rights, they have a right because they have their rules and regulations and their code of conduct. So that gives them the right to judge, to call you and have a conversation with you. But maybe the church should sit down and start thinking of a better way to handle cases like this. Instead of saying, you did wrong, so we throw you out or you're punished.
They can punish but not send out.
Yeah, so maybe, no, the thing is, let's not be too hard on this church. The church is trying to, especially if you're a worker in church, you're supposed to sort of represent the doctrine. And the doctrine says until you get married, before you have children. And you have younger people looking up to you. And if you let it go for one person, everybody will do it. So it needs to be, they need to do it in a way that the person understands that this, what you have decided to do has its consequences. It may bring you the sort of joy or that you want. And people too that go to church need to understand that I understand the step I'm taking may have some consequences, but this is where I want to go. And if the church decides to take you off from like front-facing job that you're doing in church, I don't think you should be upset about that. Not because they hate you, but because we really also need to give that,
do you agree with that
right way of doing it.
So I know that the church has to have guidelines so that people will not just continue to sin differently in any way, just anyhow and be. So I really do agree with that. But the thing is, when you're not in people's shoes, you don't even know what they feel. A lot of people are frustrated. You just see them, they wear makeup and all that, and you think that they're fine. So I don't even think that it is even selfish, you know, to say that somebody has decided, because that person must have thought it through and must have had a lot of, you know, maybe worries before even deciding on this. However, I would like to add that, you know, in 2018 in the United States, 6% of women aged 15 and 44 are unable, or would I say were unable to conceive, and you know, just have a pregnancy like that, normal pregnancy like that. And so the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has actually come out to say that, to suggest to them that if you have irregular periods, if you're 35 years old and you can't, you find it hard to, you know, conceive, if you have been trying to conceive within a year and you're finding it hard, they suggest that you should actually visit a fertility doctor. And then if you've had miscarriages twice or more than twice, spontaneous ones, then you should consider seeing, you know, a fertility doctor for treatment. From this one. And the reason I even said again that, you know, there are different methods of actually having children. It could be through surrogacy, it could be through adoption, it could be through different. And even when you go for adoption, because our society has not woken up to adoption too process. So even when you adopt, you'll still find people who are saying to you that, oh, that child is not directly yours. So people want to carry pregnancy. They want people to see them pregnant.
Does a single lady have any business going to get pregnant or going to have a child?
Take your call first.
Hey, let me take this call. All the way from Isola. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Please, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Please, on the woman you question, is he a member of the church or is he the father that owns the church?
He's a member of the church.
He's a member of the church. She's a member.
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, sorry, we lost that call.
So,
is she okay, yeah.
So
does the church have a right?
Yes, I believe the church has a right because the church stands for righteousness and they go by their holy book. So they have their rules and their regulations, like Miriam said. And there are also different categories of members of the church. So if you're in a position, a prominent position in the church, you're supposed to be a model. If you do this and you are not fitting into the roles, you can be asked to step down. The church has not wronged you in any way. Now, the question of
does a single lady have a right to?
Does a single lady have a right to? Sometimes when we make decisions, it's more about ourselves. We are not looking at how we affect the other person who we are bringing into the world. So in my own view, I would say that she is selfish. Because the truth is, even those that have mother and father, and then you don't, I knew what I went through as a child growing up without my mother. My classmates were always constantly telling me, you don't know your mother. This is not that she did, my father did something artificial. There was a woman involved, but then she wasn't there. And I knew what I went through as a child.
So you're saying our society is not ripe to deal with it. That child will go through trauma.
Exactly.
That child you go through trauma, and the lady isn't thinking of the trauma the child will go through when she's just thinking of herself.
Yes.
This reminds me of a conversation that is happening in America where white people are adopting black children. And black people are saying, don't do this to this black child. You're bringing up this black child in a sort of fake society. So the person thinks she's white because of the way they have been brought up. But the reality in America is that black people are sort of treated differently. Yeah. So this person grows up with all the privileges of a white person, and then has to live her life differently. So I think that is where when single mothers go for insemination like this are you really thinking of what society would
child
say?
Will grow up
But the thing is, because this conversation is so deep,
can you live for
the thing is, should you care what society thinks?
Let me take this phone call. Let me quickly take this phone call. Kelechi has called in from K2. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you. I would like to agree with what Honeypot said. I don't think there's any big deal inside. If she feels she wants to have a child and she can provide for that child, then let her go ahead.
Regardless of the trauma the child will go through.
Let her just go ahead and do what makes her happy. There's joy in motherhood. If she feels she wants to have it, let her go.
All right.
Miriam, I like your hair. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you.
You know what?
So you know what? I would like to add something to what Kelechi has said. So you were asking Kelechi, are you thinking of,
what the child will go through?
Till thy kingdom come, the society would always have something to say. They would always have an opinion. They would always talk about you, no matter what you do. So you have to bring up your child and help your child's mindset. This has been happening since time immemorial, and it will continue. Nothing will stop it. That's what I think. So it is about your happiness and helping your child's mindset.
Okay, you know, sometimes when we have conversations like this, because I'm a mother, I have a daughter and a son. So I don't have the conversation for just myself. I have the conversation thinking, what would my daughter do when she finds herself in a situation? What should I be telling her? What should be running through her head? So I get that part of, you know, society will always talk. You shouldn't mind what society will say. But I want my child to know that there's a process. I want my child to make the right decision.
Yes.
And I want my child that when she makes the right decision, she thinks about it. Is it necessary? Is it kind? Do you understand? Do you know, and when you think about it holistically, then make a decision. Do not
But
make
not
a
be
selfish
decision.
The reason I'm even saying that you help your child's mindset.
Honey, but sometimes raising kids is not an easy. Is not a walk in the park. You may not even know the right things to tell your child.
So if it is a mistake, we can understand.
Exactly. Your
If
child
the
may not
girl
even know how to carry. Nobody told me how to handle what was coming to me. I faced it alone, the mistakes that my parents put me into. On a normal day, you wouldn't want your child to go through certain things. So sometimes it's not just about us. When you're taking decisions for yourself, you are an adult, you should be responsible for your decisions. But when another life is involved, you need to really look at it.
We have a call from Taraba. Someone has called all the way from Jalingo. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning to the ladies and
Good
gentlemen.
morning.
Good morning.
So, my name is Peter. I'm from Jalingo. So my own take on it is that, you know, at times, these people used to be hard on the church. You know, the church has their constitution, which is Bible. You see, so I believe in that if a member did such thing, they only maybe if just like some lady says yes, if the member has a position in the church, but not to communicate the member. You should be a member, come to church, but not have a position in the church. Then they always.
We lost that. So thank you, Peter, for calling. We appreciate your contribution. I feel that I'm hearing different things. I'm hearing Onipot saying that live your life for you. If a woman is in her late 40s or she's in her 50s and she's looking at it that I'm already in my 50s, even if I get married now, the process of getting pregnant is going to be complicated. Do I want to wait? Can I just, and I want to have a child, should the society put her under any pressure for deciding to look at her life, understanding that she can afford to take good care of her child and wanting to bring a child into this world rather than living a lonely life? Should we judge her for that? Should we feel that she's done something wrong by making that decision? Because men get to do, if somebody carry belly for man, no problem, nobody's talking, but we tend to just scrutinize a woman's decision.
You see, it's not like I disagree with you. I understand where you're coming from. And for me, this conversation is really tough because some people have done this and they have been great mothers. And then we have people who went the natural way and they haven't been great mothers.
Yes, so.
But the thing now we're trying to talk about is the principle of it.
So what if she got married and she got pregnant and immediately after getting pregnant, she lost her husband? She still has to raise the child all by herself.
It's on record that you have a husband. There's a difference.
So are we bothered about the record or how we raise the child?
So are we still here? Are we still here at this stage that it's on record that you had a husband? Or I mean, is this society
I'll let you take 2 comments from our audience before we end this conversation. Is that? I'll give you a minute to get ready. Let's take tweets. Are you ready? Okay.
Okay. I want to say, if that lady is a member of the church and she occupies a big office in that church and she knows the rules and regulation of the church, is it not okay and prosper for her to face the music of what she has done and also know what she has done and maybe repent from it and change?
Please, can I ask a question of the audience? Let's say the church is not involved. Let's say you have a neighbor who has done this. How would you see her? If you had a neighbor that you know that she did artificial insemination to have a child, would you judge her differently?
Okay.
Sorry, please, I want to speak from like another angle.
Okay.
Tackling the source of the problem. I think it's high time the pastors in Nigeria, it's high time we change the notion that our doctors or our son must marry from our church. I think it's high time we create a synergy among other branches in Lagos. Create a conference, create an atmosphere whereby they meet together, they relate
Okay,
together.
so that's a different conversation. You're thinking that maybe that's why she hasn't gotten married yet, because we're trying to marry within the church.
Quickly say something before you run off. Very small. I think churches need to understand that because of their very stringent laws, a lot of women go through abortions because they don't want to be seen with pregnancy.
So and that's also another sin.
And they double the sin.
At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong answer. If each person would face God, and all of us, nobody has a right to judge you for what you've done, and don't judge yourself if you've done something wrong.
We will get to heaven and we'll be surprised.
We'll be surprised that God has forgiven.
I am telling you.
We'll go on a quick break now. When we come back, we're discussing Lagos traffic with our guests. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Awesome. Thanks for staying with us. Heated conversation going on behind the scene. We're probably going to bring that topic back again. But December is here, and we have loads and lots of traffic. And this would increase as people will be traveling either for business or for vacation. And on the show today, we have the Sector Commander, Hyginus Omeje, with us as usual. Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
We also have the Director for Safety Beyond Borders, Adenusi Patrick, to discuss Lagos traffic and the much-needed sensitization exercise and awareness ahead of the month of December. Also, we'll be talking about the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, Apapa Oshodi Express Road, and all those challenges we're having with construction going on in Lagos. Welcome to the show. I think it was last week Wednesday we discussed Lagos traffic, and it was heated. It was the phone call. People were strained, and we're looking at December and saying this is November, and we're already feeling this way. What would happen in December if people don't travel? And pray all of you that usually travel, I beg, pack your load and go to your village and leave Lagos for us. How do we deal with this construction leading to traffic, and what do we do? What's the sensitization? What are you telling Nigerians to do? What are you telling Lagosians to do?
Well, good morning, viewers and everyone listening. We have been saying that the roads are not good. Now they are rehabilitating the roads, expanding the roads, reconstructing the roads. For such an exercise, there is always a price to pay. What we are going through now is just the little price, sacrifice, let me use that word, that we have to make for us to have a better road. That Lagos-Ibadan, as you know, between the Lagos axis to Shagamu is being expanded to 6 lanes, while from Shagamu to Ibadan is just the normal 4 lanes, but outright resurfacing, that is what is going on. Now, when you are doing such a construction work, you need to divert traffic, and those diversions are what is leading to this. Now, the problem is that as the carriageway is narrowed, the volume of traffic is increasing. So we have a disproportionate in terms of the volume of traffic and the carriageway. What is expected is that with this mindset, we should drive with a lot of caution and courtesy on our part. I say caution and courtesy because a road that has been carrying 4 lanes, and you are now narrowing it to 2, you just know that discipline is the watchword that can see all of us through. But that is not what we are getting. What we are getting is that we still think we can drive on those construction sections the way we have been driving before. And that's why some people will now go to the extent of throwing caution to the winds and risking their life and the life of others by going to drive against the flow of traffic. I still impounded one of such vehicles on my way to the studio. And it is not the best. Why we are having those gridlocks we are having in the mornings and the peak periods is because we do not have lane discipline. And it's a fundamental issue. You don't have lane discipline that, yeah, I'm going to follow you, I just have to follow you. I don't need to do what I call lane hopping, or hopping from here to here and from here to here, and just like that. The carriageway is narrowed. Construction work is going on. We need to exercise care and caution.
May I ask, I'm sorry.
Yes.
May I ask what the time limitation is or the duration? I mean, before December December is just...
Now, if you recall when we did the groundbreaking ceremony, let me say, of the Kara Bridge, we said that by December 15th, it was expected then that by December 15th, we should have even finished with the Kara section completely. But that was not to be because of the torrential downpour we had this year. Even as at yesterday night, it still rained. And these things did disrupt construction everywhere. It's not just in Nigeria. Now, but the good news is that I can say that within the next 1 week, there's going to be some respite, in the sense that they are now putting finishing touches on that inward bound section. And when they finish, they are going to open it up. They are not going to break the other carriageway, the outward. Nobody is going to do anything until next year, January, when they will go. Then if you also look at that section, there is a feeder road that they are now also rehabilitating, where if you go through underneath the Kara Bridge, you come up again. So by the time we are going to divert traffic to that side, it's not going to be like the outward.
Okay, so there is
going to be
alternative.
A relative alternative that people can use.
Apart from the roads, we have other culprits for the reason for our traffic. And one, I'm wondering if your hands are tied with that. The trucks on the road going all the way to the port. And I'm wondering, have you been called in? What are you doing? Why is it so difficult? Secondly, uniformed people and politicians or whatever, those people with big cars and things on their car that makes sound and has color. That's another culprit. What are you able to do with those people? Are you able to catch them and punish them?
Incidentally, I'm also a member of the presidential task team on the decongestion of Apapa Access Road. And Mr. Adenusi also worked on that Apapa Access Road at a point in time. Now, the truth has to be said. The trucks, all these things we are seeing, they have its pros and they have their own cons too. Let me say that the fact that you are seeing all these trucks going to the Apapa like that and the way it's going shows that the economy is kicking. Economy is kicking and people, more goods are coming in and people are going to trucks. But we have infrastructural issues with the ports. We have infrastructural issues with the ports. There is no need playing the ostrich here. And that infrastructural issues is that the volume of trade or the volume of cargo handling on our ports today is bigger than what in the port was established, and what we are doing now within the same space. Within the same space is more. And the volume is quite high. What we need today to solve the Apapa this thing is a truck transit park. And secondly, we need to automate. We need to automate. If we have a truck transit park far away from Lagos, say somewhere in Ogun State, where these trucks will come in, you go in there, perfect your papers and whatever. Then we also have an electronic call-up system such that when it is your time, you...
Sir, they implemented that thing, it didn't work because people were circumventing it, so people felt that they should go back to the road. I want to ask you, Mr. Adenusi, concerning advocacy. And I want to ask you, because I know that that's where you function. What can we do? How can we educate Lagos drivers? How can we educate Keke Napep drivers? How can we educate Okada riders that when you have two carriageway, overtaking, it just can't work? What advocacy can we do to get into their head to help them understand that they should stay behind the car because they don't think that they can stay. Especially they can't stay behind the car. They just jump in front of another person's car. It's somehow.
Well, I'm surprised that everyone is surprised that there's traffic in Lagos. By extension, I'm very surprised. We shouldn't expect anything less than what we are seeing. Really, yes. Now, when roads are constructed, they have capacities. A 2-lane road should carry 2-lane traffic. 3 lanes should carry 3-lane traffic. What we have currently is complete breakdown of law and order. The effort of FRSC, LASMA, police, and other agencies is actually not bringing the kind of result we desire, despite all that they have put into the process. You and I need to think about the fact that this is our country. We need to be able to think about it that, look, I need to give her my best. And then when you leave your house and you come to the road, which is the public space, choose to be orderly. What we have currently is complete disorder. Yes, the tricycle is overtaking you on your right. The motorcycle is driving against the traffic. And the 2-lane road we have turned to 4 lanes. Now, the beginning point is for government to first calculate what we are losing daily.
4 hours on the road.
And what we are losing daily is humongous. In Lagos alone, on extra fuel, not on the wear and tear, not on man-hour, is 5 billion naira. Yes. We lose 5 billion naira every month in Lagos to excess fuel.
Health sector money.
And if we think about the fact, if by the time we now calculate man-hour, the stress, just think about it for a moment. If stress test is to be carried on Lagosians,
everybody will fail. Everybody.
How many will test positive?
All of them.
So, by the time we look at the environmental pollution, the wear and tear on the vehicle, the man-hour loss, the wear and tear on ourselves, we will know that what we are wasting monthly exceed 5 billion, then we will begin to think of how we will not waste 5 billion.
Are we ready?
That one is deep. So I want to ask the relationship the FRSC has with the police, because we are complaining that the roads are not even wide enough. Then we have police officers who do their stop and search in the middle of a narrow road and thereby cause more traffic. Now, I don't know why so many of them are on the roads. I don't see your people as much as I see the Nigerian police. So what's so what's the relationship you have, and how can you get them to understand that I don't think they need to be on the road as much?
Before you answer that question, sir, let's take a quick break. When we come back, you would answer the question. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We're totally out of time. Surprisingly, I'll let you answer your question, and I would want Mr. Adenusi to talk about the award celebrating great drivers, but I'll have you answer that question first.
Okay, she was asking the issue of the number of police. I tell you that if you even look at the population of Nigeria and the number of police we have, we don't even have enough. And if there's any time that they need to be on the road, it is now. Actually.
But the stopping, that's the issue. They stop indiscriminately in the middle of the road, so you will now be forced to pass them, and that causes traffic.
I will take that one as a take-home from this program, because I know I interface with the Commissioner of Police. I interface with the Commissioner of Police, so I will use it as a take-home. But as for whether they are really needed, we need them now. Crime is also on the increase. People are looking for as you are going to make ends meet, they are also trying to make ends meet. We're beginning to hear or read about bank robberies coming back, and we don't want it in Lagos. So if having the number of police we have today will prevent us from having bank robberies, witnessing bank robberies in Lagos, so be it. If that is what will help us curb this issue of you are in traffic, because this traffic has its own security challenges also. You are in traffic and he looks at your earring and somebody just comes in here and drags it. If that is what will prevent it, so be it. Even if it is not for anything, visible policing, we should just have it for them to provide us that.
We're celebrating drivers.
Yes.
There's an award that will be taking place when, and what is it about? How did you choose the drivers?
Yeah, okay. One of the most difficult things that you do daily is driving. And currently in the country today, we have very few drivers and a lot of people who move vehicles. And so what we have done is to keep our eyes on some motorists and in different categories, commercial drivers. The law is that you do not change lane without indicating by the one we call trafficator. How many of us do? And so the movers of the economy of the country are the drivers. No matter how intelligent you are, whichever good is produced anywhere, it can't be accessed at another location except a driver moves it. And these set of folks are not even cared for at all. They are treated as common. It's a profession, like journalism, legal, medical, and all of that. So we also look at it that the day we start appreciating this neglected but very important set of people is a part of advocacy of how to bring sanity on our highways.
Interesting.
So how do you choose?
Okay. Choosing them came through different categories.
We really can't even answer that question. When is it taking place?
Just some few days.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We have been in the process all this while.
Oh,
and let me just also say, for me, as an FRSC official, and also the present administration of the commercial, it has this tripartite policy that we should consult, reward, and punish. Now, we have been punishing. We've been consulting, but where is the reward?
So tomorrow there will be a reward.
In Lagos, we will start doing something like that.
For more information, follow them on Twitter and on all social media platforms. They are active. That's all we can take on today's show. Thank you so much to our live audience. Thanks to King Slices. Thanks to every one of you. I'll see you all tomorrow. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.